All right, here we are. We're going to change all 6 spark plugs in the Infiniti G35 2008. We start off by taking off the engine cover. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts that you're just going to unscrew there. And once you do that, that thing just pops right off. And this is what we're dealing with here. And over here on the right-hand side, there are 3 of them, which is the driver's side, and then the other 3 are on the passenger side, and it's basically underneath all this stuff, and that's really what the challenge is here. So this is to basically get yourself oriented there. The first one is on the right. You can see it's got these, they don't have spark plug wires anymore. They have these caps or coils that they have with these little wires coming out of it, little wiring harness, and you can just push down on that clip to pull out those wires. Each one of these caps also has a 10mm bolt, which we would be unscrewing all 6 of those as well. So there's my finger. You can kind of see where I was pointing at there. It's right next to the oil cap. And so there it is, looking straight down. Again, we're on the right-hand side towards the front of the car. And before we start pulling those out, we're going to open up the battery cover on the passenger side and just loosen this 10mm bolt here on the negative terminal. You just need to loosen it to pull off that terminal. So we do that, and then we take an 8mm socket, and we are going to just loosen these 2 screws that are holding in this large tube here. So we do that, and there's 8mm, and we're going to stick it in right there and just loosen it to where we can move this. And then there's the other one there with my Smurf finger pointed right at it. And so there are 2 hoses that are clamped in. You just need some needle nose pliers to squeeze those and move those outward or away from where they're actually holding it in. Just those 2 right there. You can take that one, slide it back, and then you can pull that off. And then there is one other one. It's right here. Now, you can't pull this off yet, so you're going to have to basically be able to move or pull out your air filter. So there is a 10mm bolt in the, this is again on the front right-hand side of the car, the driver's side. You're just going to take that, unscrew this one bolt, and then just slides right up. Now, it's not going to slide just right up because there is something that is holding it in place near the bottom. It's not screwed into anything. You just have to yank on it real hard. And there it is. That's what it kind of looks like if you get down there. Just pull up on it a little bit, and that thing will just pop right out. So anyway, when you do that, you can basically now get that thing moved out of your way to where you've got some space to where you can pull this this tube off. This is up near towards the engine, and then you can see here I've got it like basically completely pulled up the air filter there. But it allows us to get to this pipe. We just need to move this this tube out of the way. And so that's one side of it that we had pulled off. And at that point we had already removed this tube down here in this lower left-hand corner. Now, where we had unclamped that other tube, we're just going to pull it out. And this guy's kind of jammed in there, but you can rip it out, no problem. All right, so now we can actually see the first of our 6 spark plug right there, and it's got a 10mm bolt that's screwing that in. Again, it's wiring little harness right there. And this is looking down from the side. You can kind of see in from the side of that the same particular thing, and you can see where I was squeezing down on that particular clamp to pull that out. Easy. Then you just pull out that 10mm bolt, and then you kind of have to wiggle and turn and yank this thing up, and eventually this is your coil, your spark plug coil that just pops right out. And inside of that is where you can get to your your spark plug, and you'll need some sort of spark plug tool like this. Mine is not equipped to yank the spark plug out, so I just use a magnetic tool. It's like $2-3 to pull out the spark plug. So anyway, this is 14mm, what you'll need, and you'll need the spark plug, the extension here to be able to go down into that chamber. So here's us going down into it, and we are just unscrewing that thing. And once we get it out, we just pull it out with that magnetic tool, and then we take some anti-seize thread grease, just wipe it around the upper threads. Don't get it on the actual tip at all, just up at the top, and a few threads through, and wipe that in. And then what I do is I just have the extension itself so I can easily twist it back in. Just drop it in there and then screw it in. Make sure that it's nice and easy. When you're screwing, it should be going in easy because you can cross thread these very easily since they are aluminum. And then whenever you get to the end of that and it's basically too hard to tighten by hand anymore, you want to basically, if you want to risk it, so much risk, you can basically turn it about a quarter to a half a turn or so. Purists will want to get a torque wrench and make sure it's exactly screwed in. Basically, it needs to be tight, but it's not a muscle man contest, okay? Leave that for the gym, not the mechanic shop. Anyway, so here we are, and we're putting the coil back in with the new plug. We're going to plug back in the wiring harness, and we are going to put the screw right back in where we found it. All right, so to get to the next two, you've got to unscrew these. They're basically going to need an Allen wrench to get out these 4 screws here on the side. Got them all taken out right there. And basically, it's still plugged in, all the tubes and everything else. It's just going to be able to move out of our way. And we're going to do something very similar on the other side as well. So again, same exact process, unscrewing the bolts that go into these things, taking out the wiring harness, pulling it out, putting in the new spark plug, make sure that the thread greases or the anti-seize grease is in there, and rinse and repeat. There I am with the magnetic tool to pull it out, and there I am getting ready to put the thing back in, and there I am screwing it back in as well. Now, the last one is same exact procedure. Now you can kind of still get to it. It's a little bit harder to get to. You've got to move these sort of tubes around. I wouldn't bother doing things that you don't need to do. Yes, it's a little bit more inconvenient to try to work around it, but you know what else is inconvenient? Doing things you don't need to do, like pulling out these tubes and everything like that. So anyway, there she is. We just pull her out. Now we're getting ready to put this thing back in where we found it. So there are 4 screws with the Allen wrench. We put this back into it. This is our little holder for the big tube. And here comes the big tube. Now you want to make sure that you put in the plug or the hose that was closest to the engine first. It just makes it easier to be able to slide all these things back in. So basically, you can see I'm trying to put it back in there and then also sort of simultaneously get it up towards this first little bracket area that we're plugging this thing back into. And so there they are. There's the tube into the main little thing, and there's a hose kind of on that. And here's the last 2 hoses down there. I'm pointing at it that we're going to put in there. We're going to use our pliers to squeeze that back in. And then we make sure that we tighten up the 8mm bolts on the big tube. There's one, and there's the other one that we're tightening up. And so at that point, we are screwing back in our air filter, just the way we found it, and that's the 10mm bolt. And you can see I'm screwing it in right there. And that is it. You are done with the first 3 on the passenger side.